Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. Prime Minister Narendra Modi performed the consecration ceremony at Ayodhya. And if you look at his speech, which he delivered at the end of the consecration ceremony, has many outcomes and also has a large import as to in which direction the nation is headed to. If you look at his speech very carefully, he said that Lord Ram has arrived and the centuries of wait is over. Then he sought forgiveness from Lord Ram for the delay in the construction of the Ram temple, and he thanked the Supreme Court. He said also that the construction of the Ram temple has heralded a new era for India. Then he took a dig at the opposition, saying that, there were people who said that if Ram temple is built, then the country will be set on fire. But then he again went ahead and said that Ram is not fire, but he's energy. Ram is not a problem, but a solution. Then he also said that Ram temple is a symbol of national consciousness. And then what he says is that Ram is the idea of India. Ram is the law of India. Ram is the prestige of India. Now, the big question is that what kind of nation is Prime Minister Narendra Modi really dreaming of? Because he also said that now he will lay the foundations for the next 1,000 years. Joining me now on this entire conversation is a renowned political commentator, author, and columnist Prem Shankar Jha. Mr. Jha, thank you so much for joining on the Federal. And I'm sure you must have heard what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said at Ayodhya. What, according to you, is the biggest import of from his speech?
The biggest import is that he intends to stay in power forever for the rest of his natural life. And it doesn't matter how he does it. Because after all, he is doing it for Sri Rama. He is, in fact, God's emissary on earth. Basically what he's saying. I don't think I need to add anything more to that. If you're God's emissary on earth, you're the last word.
Right. But the way he thanked the Supreme Court yesterday and said that, and he also sought forgiveness from Lord Ram that, there was such a huge delay in the construction of the temple. What does this really speak of? Thanking the Supreme Court, asking for forgiveness, from Lord Ram, why the construction was delayed?
It's all, if this had been a play, for children, it would have been a fantasy, something like Alice in Wonderland. Except that it's Alice in Wonderland is innocent. This entire play that Mr. Modi has orchestrated or created is anything but innocent. And yes, he talks about 1,000 years. He won't be there for 1,000 years, but he's made it quite clear that he intends to remain the Prime Minister of India for the rest of his life. Now, I think that's part of what he has done. But coming to the central issue of the building of a Ram temple there, I think that what we keep forgetting is that this is the concretization of a belief, a superstition. A belief is when superstition and belief both have one thing in common, that there is no reality behind them.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that there was no Ayodhya, no kingdom in Ayodhya. I'm not saying that there was no Raja Janak. I'm not saying that there was no Sita. I belong to Mithila, so I can hardly say that. But on the other hand, to say that he was born in a particular spot where some idols suddenly emerged from the earth. Now, can you tell me of anywhere in the whole history of the planet when a piece of rock shaped like an idol has emerged spontaneously from the earth, except in a volcanic eruption? There was no volcanic eruption there.
Yeah.
So how did this happen in 1949? And why then? Why not earlier? And I keep thinking about one thing, Nilu, which is that I keep comparing the building of Somnath in 1951 with what has happened in Ayodhya.
Right.
Somnath was built with the complete consensus of all the ruling party, at that time, and everyone else around, and it was built with, on the genuine site of a temple which had been existed there and had been destroyed many times.
Right.
The main destruction, the final destruction of in its most ornate and complete form was by Mahmud Ghazni. But a large number of Arabs fought against Ghazni to save Somnath and gave their lives.
Right.
Why? Because Saurashtra had been settled, to varying degrees from the early 8th century.
Right.
And there were large numbers of Arab families there who had lived there for centuries.
Right.
And to whom this was home. They were defending their homeland. The only discordant note in the Somnath thing was a small one, when Pandit Nehru said that the president of India should not go and inaugurate the temple, because he said that would make it into a non-secular act. Right. Now, what Modi has done is, first of all, he has anointed himself as a Brahmin high priest. I don't know what the Brahmins of India have to say about that, but that's their business. For me, this caste issue is completely irrelevant. But Modi is the Prime Minister, and he did it as Nehru said that the president should not do in 1951. And that difference is something that we need to understand and highlight.
No, but Mr. Jha, you made a very important point.
Just one more minute. You see, you need to highlight that, because Somnath, to me, epitomizes harmony. Ayodhya has been built on the basis of deliberately provoking and inciting disharmony, discord. Thousands of lives have been lost over this issue. Now, I include the riots in Gujarat because they too, in a sense, go back to the same issue.
Right. But Mr. Jha, I'm coming back to the point where you said that, it seems that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has self-anointed himself as a high Brahmin priest. Now, what does it mean? That is he establishing a temple state, if I may call it? Because if you look at the journey of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the last 15 days or so, he's temple hopping, going to that entire stretch, which was known as the Ramayan stretch, Tiruchirappalli, then Dhanushkodi, Rameshwaram. And then, he performs all the pujas, sprinkles petals on the beaches, does a pranayam, and then he walks into the consecration ceremony like, a high priest almost. So are there signs of India becoming a temple state?
There are signs of Mr. Modi trying to turn India into a monolithic Hindu state. I won't call it a temple state, I'll call it a Hindu state. These are all attempts at doing that. But Mr. Modi is not doing this because he believes particularly in Hinduism. If he did, he would not have so much to answer for during his period as Chief Minister in Gujarat. The fact is that Mr. Modi is doing this just to perpetuate his own rule. He is doing all this to win an election, and he knows exactly which nerve, which pulse of the 82% Hindu majority population to touch, right, to get the right response. This is the actions of a supreme dictator in the making. I think Hitler had exactly the same understanding of the German people that Mr. Modi has of India, of Hindus.
No, but you were mentioning...
Right. Okay, sorry, no, you were.
You mentioned about Hinduism, but look at the Shankaracharyas who were very unhappy with the way the rituals happened. And, many political commentators, many analysts have started saying that, the kind of things which have happened in the past few days, the Shankaracharya is not really liking the way things have happened. Will it bring in some kind of a division within the structure of Hinduism as a religion? Because here you have the various sampradayas, you have the akhadas which are opposing, you have Shankaracharyas which are opposing. So does it bring some kind of a discord within the Hindu structure as a religion?
Well, it may well do so, but that will take time to emerge. You talked about Modi's speech, but I also listened to Mohan Bhagwat's speech. Mohan Bhagwat's second half of his speech was a very, very powerful plea against communalism. He
Right.
said, "We are all one." And he's been saying it over and over and over again for the last 5 years. He is deeply disturbed by what Mr. Modi is doing. He knows that in the long run, this is against dharma. He used the word dharma over and over again. He did not use the word Hindu.
Right.
He did not use the word Hindutva, not even once.
And he also said it in Hindi that
Nilu, dharma,
yes,
Hindu
sir.
is a word that came into India in the 13th century AD. Dharma is the original religion of India.
Right.
Mohan Bhagwat was referring to that. You must understand why the Shankaracharyas are against him, all of them, because he's against dharma. He's an adharmi. Understand that. He's a papi. He's doing this because he wants to perpetuate BJP rule. He needs to perpetuate BJP rule because he wants to remain prime minister. He needs to remain prime minister because the day he ceases to be prime minister, all the ghosts of all the people who have died in communal and other kind of events in Gujarat particularly will rise to haunt him, and he will be plagued by cases in the courts for the rest of his life. He does not want that to happen. For him, this is a life and death matter. Understand that, the Congress doesn't even begin to understand the depth, depth from which Modi is drawing his power. It is self-preservation.
Right. That's an important point you made, but I'll come back to Mr. Bhagwat's speech where you said that, he was talking about, he was talking about communal harmony. He spoke about consensus. He raised a lot of things. And then he said it in Hindi that जोश में होश का काम लाने के लिए मुझे जिम्मेदारी दी गई है. So that's his
Yes,
sole responsibility. That's what he
exactly.
said. So, was
Quite right.
Mr. Bhagwat trying to show some kind of a mirror to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and he was trying to bring him back on Mother Earth because he's flying too high? Was that the message?
He is not trying. He's been doing it for 5 years. Please read his speeches. Bhagwat represents true Hinduism for me. I'm not a supporter of the RSS, nor am I a supporter of the Congress. I'm a supporter of Indian unity, of harmony in India. That's all I pray for and wish for. But
Right.
Bhagwat is on the side of harmony. So I support him. I say it bluntly. He's the Sarsang Chalak of the RSS. If the RSS follows what Mohan Bhagwat is saying today, it will be the saving of India. If it does not and it follows Modi, it will be the end of India.
No, but Mr. Jha, doesn't it look like a typical binary in which BJP and RSS always work? And it's been like for years. On one hand, people will talk about communal harmony. The other branch of the tree will talk about Hindu Rashtra. Then you will have these fringe elements talking about love jihad. So, how does one believe in what Mr. Bhagwat really said yesterday?
By looking at the history of the RSS. First of all, you're utterly and completely wrong. The longest single Sarsang Chalak was Golwalkar, and Golwalkar was a monster. Read his bunch of thoughts. Right. I have done so, not all of it, but crucial parts. And do you know that Mohan Bhagwat has expunged part 4 of Golwalkar's A Bunch of Thoughts? It's been taken out of the new edition. He says, and he explained, conditions have changed. Golwalkar was influenced by the partition and by the bloodshed that followed, but that situation is not there anymore. This is not relevant anymore to the thinking of the RSS. He took it right out. It's not just a question of speaking. It's what he's making the RSS teach in its schools, to its shakhas, Modi is way out of this.
Also coming back again to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's speech, where he said that Ram is the idea of India, Ram is the law of India, Ram is the prestige of India. Now, does it mean that Prime Minister is very, very clear that he wants to do away with the constitution, he wants to establish a Hindu Rashtra, or many say that it has already been established and he's trying to establish himself also as some kind of the biggest Hindu icons? Would that be correct to assume?
Your last statement is correct. Mr. Modi wants to be anointed as another one of Hinduism's many gods. And I wish him luck. But the question is, it is not Hinduism. Full stop. It is Modiism. You could think of him as a person who's attempting to become another avatar. And I, for one, will not accept him, nor will the Shankaracharyas.
Right.
So what is he ultimately going to get out of this? He's going to get another election. The Congress is sitting there doing nothing. In July, they said we will create a unified alliance. And since then, all its people have done is to attack members of that alliance. When those members of the alliance are attacked by Modi's PMLA and the Enforcement Directorate, they keep silent or they join, as in the case of Manish Sisodia and Kejriwal, they join in the criticism and support the arrests of these people who are now languishing in jail for more than a year without even bail. And there's not a word from the Congress. This party is despicable. It's become a despicable party. I say it. It does not deserve to rule India. And it will not do it, Mr. Modi. They are the best president that God could have given, or Satan could have given to Mr. Narendra Modi.
I really don't understand the reasons why opposition is so helpless. Of course, the pressure of ED, CBI, and all of that is there. But whatever they can do within their own limits, they don't seem to be doing at all. But what my next question and also the worry is that what kind of nation are we making? The forefathers, the kind of legacy we got in terms of the constitution, in terms of institutions, what is going to happen really to all of that?
Neelu, neither Mr. Modi nor I, nor anyone else alive today, can change the nation of India. India will remain secular. It will do so because that secularism is actually the web, the very basic warp and woof of Hinduism. It is there from the period of Arya Dharma. So please do not have any fear about the future in that sense. My fear is at this moment, not for cultural India, but for political India. Because under a person like Modi, political India as it is today, a union of peoples, a union of states, which are ethno-national, which have their own identities, and whose identities have been brought together peacefully and with joy, in fact, and are merging together very gradually by people moving and taking jobs in other parts of the country, by learning other languages, by marrying people from other places, other cultures, and other castes and other religions. This merging process that is taking place, he's going to try to arrest this. He will slow it down. He will not be able to arrest it. So in the long run, I'm not worried about the future of India. I'm worried in the future because if he goes far enough, he may trigger a secession of parts of the South and almost certainly of the Northeast.
Right.
If that happens, then we will be plunged into internal civil war for the rest of my life.
Right.
And probably for the rest of yours.
That is indeed worrisome, but I'm also wanting to talk to you, sir, about the kind of mindset which the common man today has. And it's completely surrendering to what Prime Minister Modi or BJP is offering. Now, look at the euphoria and the frenzy. Yesterday, the entire evening, people kept bursting crackers. They celebrated Diwali just because Prime Minister Narendra Modi has performed the consecration ceremony. And during the course of his speech, he said that the entire nation must celebrate Diwali. I was almost reminded of that moment where he said that "Ab thali bajao, ab tali bajao," during the COVID times. Now, what does this really speak? And mind you, the educated and the literate people are joining this bandwagon.
Well, you asked two separate questions. Let me take the first one first, and I hope I'll remember the second, because my memory is not what it used to be. Talking about the first, Nilu, every Indian of any religion or caste loves a festival. We are the country with the largest number of festivals in the world. If you were to, as it is about 135 days out of 365, go on festivals. So the point is, this is another festival. I was in Khan Market. I went around Delhi. I watched. I ate laddus with somebody. That doesn't mean I'm a Modi bhakt. Do you think I'm a Modi bhakt? Okay, if you don't, that's all right. If you do, then you need your head examined. But the point is, yes, they will enjoy it, etc. And then tomorrow they'll go back to work.
Right.
When they go back to work, they will face the same problem they faced before. And they'll wait for the next festival and enjoy it too. Mr. Modi has given them a great festival. And, they should all be grateful to him for having done that. But having done that, it will to some extent consolidate his vote.
Right.
But it is consolidating his vote because the Congress has no alternative plan to offer. There's not one tiny thing that the Congress has said it will do. And the Congress, I say the Congress now, because the Congress believes that actually there are elements in the Congress that still are against the coalition and who are working inside it.
Right.
So the point is, take the opposition as a whole. They don't have an alternative platform to offer. They've not thought of any of the issues that have been raised by the steady erosion of multicultural, multi-ethnic democracy that Mr. Modi has brought upon India. They have no answer for that. And
right.
they don't even know how to unite. Look, let me tell you one simple thing. If you wanted to unite, the principle of unity, which would have joined them all together, could have been spelled out in one sentence or two sentences, which is, in the 2019 elections, in all the 241 seats that the BJP did not win, don't change the party that won. In the 303 seats where the BJP won, see which party got the highest vote,
right,
the second highest vote, and let them stand. This is a basic principle which everyone would have agreed to. And the principle has to come first. The allocation of seats has to come out of that. Instead of that, people have been fighting over numbers of seats.
Right.
Before they've done even established a principle. And there's no one with the foresight, not a Rahul Gandhi, not a Sonia Gandhi, not a Mallikarjun Kharge, nor anybody in Congress who has seen this basic, simple requirement that you need the principle first. First, you decided that the Congress will not automatically claim leadership. Very good. That was done in July. That was the first step. The second step was this step. They never took it. Now it's too late. There's not a thing you can do to defeat Modi today. They're going to take 350 seats. I can tell you that.
Okay, but this entire claim by the BJP leaders, and that's my last question to you, sir, that they are saying that this time they will come back with a bigger majority than what they got in 2019, that is 400 plus. So are you thinking that, this Ram Mandir sentiment will consolidate the votes further in favor of BJP?
No, it will make no difference. All it will do is there are a certain percentage, 2-3% every year, which can't make up their minds, and they may be swayed in the direction of the Ram Mandir. But in fact, those are the very people whom an intelligent program talking about the law and order situation, the communal situation in the country, above all the unemployment in the country, the growing income inequalities, right, the dying villages, the dying countryside, the fact that there's one student committing suicide in this country every 35 minutes because of the pressure of the kind of maniacally idiotic examination systems that we have and the complete lack of jobs. The inability to predict how your answer paper will be answered and by whom and on what basis. That's one which is driving some people to suicide. And the other thing, farmers, about 1 every 45 minutes is committing suicide. Why is the Congress not talking about them? There's not one word about them from Rahul Gandhi, not one word from Mallikarjun Kharge, not one word from Jairam Ramesh or Shashi Tharoor.
I feel that this Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra, which Rahul Gandhi has embarked on, is not going to yield any kind of electoral gains for them.
It's going to yield losses because everyone will compare the absence of enthusiasm during this yatra with the enthusiasm in the first one. It made the biggest mistake of his life.
We'll have to wait and watch how things unfold in the coming months. But indeed, there are a lot of concerns on various aspects. Thank you so much, Mr. Jha, for joining on The Federal. It was wonderful having you on the program. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview, subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to The Federal. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Subscribe to The Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.